Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back, Mavericks and new viewers from all around the world. We are going to focus tonight primarily on the Tumbler Ridge School Shooting, the mass shooting, which has left the entire country, Canada, in shock. And the condolences are rolling in from around the world. It's a story that has made international headlines. We went live last night to bring you up to date. Today we've had new developments, and we'll try to get you up to date. And I guess maybe most importantly, we are going to open the phone lines here very shortly to allow you to weigh in on this conversation through the course of tonight's broadcast. We will also touch on some of the other top stories of today, including the testimony at the Epstein hearings by Attorney General Pam Bondi that has also left some people in a state of shock. So don't go away. We have the confirmed identity of the Tumbler Ridge mass shooting straight ahead after this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Brightleaf Innovations is excited to offer our newest investment opportunity, the Turn Easy Bed Storage Solution.
Turns with a touch, spins all the way around. Every little thing you need is easy to be found. No more clutter, no more mess on the floor. Just spin it, reach it, you don't search anymore. Turn Easy Bed, spin your world. Treasures to protect, built-in power when you need to recharge. Smart design that makes your bedroom feel large. Turn Easy Bed, spin your world around. Storage made simple, the best you found. Shelves your way, keep the mess away. Charge it, store it, developed by Brightleaf Innovations, proudly Canadian and patent pending in North America. Turn Easy Bed transforms how you live.
To learn more about this innovative new product idea an exciting investment opportunity. Call 519-784-0222 or visit brightleafinnovations.com.
So, newest developments in the school shooting out in British Columbia, Tumbler Ridge. A lot of new details emerging today. They've corrected the number of fatalities, saying that 9 people were killed, including the suspect, and approximately 25 were injured as a result of this. Now, the biggest thing I think on social media tonight with regard to this story is the identity of the shooter, which has created a lot of confusion, misinformation, misreporting, some correct reporting, and then retracted correct reporting because people thought they were making mistakes or misidentifying the shooter when in fact, I guess maybe they were not. The shooter has been identified as 18-year-old Jesse Strang, or also Jesse Van Rootselaar, if I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Many pictures circulating online, but you'll notice tonight that mainstream media not using any photographs of the shooter or any photographs from social media. Nothing has been released yet by police to say this is what Jesse Strang looks like. This is the alleged shooter or the confirmed shooter. The shooter did end up taking their own life at the secondary school in British Columbia as one of the victims. Now, we do have photos, and you'll see the images tonight of Jesse Strang or this person on lot that people are circulating these pictures saying that this is the person in question, and it seems highly likely that these photographs are accurate. But I've been very cautious because this has been unfolding so quickly. A lot of mistakes have been made. So I have been extremely cautious in the information we've been sharing here on Maverick News because accuracy is paramount. And while it's good to be first, you must be accurate without exception, or at least try to be. So I did not want to make any mistakes. That's why last night we did not say that this person was Jesse Strang. We didn't say that this person was Jesse Van Rootselaar, if I'm pronouncing the last name, Rootselaar, I guess. It's spelled Rootselaar, and I did not say that that was the name, but confirmed today in a news conference with RCMP in Surrey, not far from Tumbler Ridge. And the news conference today was fronted by Deputy Commissioner Dwayne McDonald, who gave an update into the investigation. And I'll take you there now. We'll also have some comments from the Prime Minister today. We'll bring you up to date on what other world leaders have been saying, I think, if we can get to that. But I do want to get to the phones and give you guys a chance to weigh in on this. This is what was said this morning at the news conference.
On February 10th
Actually,
at approximately 1:20 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at Tumbler Ridge, RCMP received a report of an active shooter at Tumbler Ridge Secondary School. A police-initiated public alert, PIPA, was issued as officers responded. Police from Tumbler Ridge RCMP and surrounding detachments responded immediately, with members from the local detachment arriving within 2 minutes of the initial call. Upon arrival, there was active gunfire, and as officers approached the school, rounds were fired in their direction. Officers entered the school to locate the threat. Within minutes, an individual confirmed to be the shooter was located deceased, with what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The suspect has been identified as 18-year-old Jesse Van Rootselaar, who is a resident of Tumbler Ridge. 2 firearms, a long gun and a modified handgun, were recovered by responding officers. Determining the origin of these firearms and what role they played in the shootings remains a significant part of the active and ongoing investigation. Multiple victims were located throughout the school, along with approximately 25 individuals with possible injuries. Once it was determined to be safe, officers evacuated over 100 students and faculty to a local community center, while police continued to assess whether any ongoing threats remained. Those with potential injuries were transported to the local medical clinic for triage and assessment, and 2 victims with significant injuries were transported to hospital via air ambulance. Following a medical assessment of the individuals, no discernible physical injuries were identified for those that remained at scene. I'd like to correct some information that was shared yesterday and to clarify that 9 people in total are deceased as a result of this incident. Initially, it was believed that one of the victims, a female with significant injuries, who was transported from the scene by our members and then transitioned to paramedics, had succumbed to her injuries. Police have since confirmed that is not the case. She is alive and was one of the 2 female victims that were airlifted to hospital. Both of those victims remain in serious condition. The deceased victims from the school include an adult female educator, 3 female students, and 2 male students between the ages of 13 and 17. 2 additional victims, an adult female and a male youth, were located deceased in a local residence. The BC Major Crime Unit has assumed conduct of the investigation and is working to determine the full circumstances surrounding this tragic incident. There's been much speculation within the community regarding the relationship between the shooter and some of the victims. All of that remains part of the active and ongoing investigation. We are not in a position to publicly confirm any specifics at this time. Additional resources have been deployed to Tumbler Ridge to support both the investigation and day-to-day policing operations, which continue with the assistance of our neighboring detachments. BC Emergency Health Services, the Tumbler Ridge Fire Department, the local medical center, the school district, the community center, and many others within the community have provided significant support throughout this response. Anyone in the community who does not need support, who does need support, is asked to go to the Tumbler Ridge Community Center at 340 Front Street. We understand the community has questions, and we understand they want to know the motive behind this tragic incident. We do believe the suspect acted alone, and there are currently no other outstanding suspects. Our investigators remain on scene, actively gathering information to determine the full circumstances of what transpired. This is a deeply distressing incident where 9 individuals have senselessly lost their lives. Our thoughts are with the families, the loved ones, the first responders in the greater Tumbler Ridge community, and all those impacted by this tragic incident. If you have questions, I'm prepared to take them at this time.
Officer Romina Dea from Global News, could you please expand a little bit on the suspect? Was he known to police? Were there any red flags regarding his mental health?
So a suspect is identified as an 18-year-old female by the name of Jessie. We have a history of police attendance at the family residence. Some of those calls were related to mental health issues.
Could you spell the suspect's name, please?
Yes. The first name is spelt Jesse. The surname is spelt capital VAN, then space, capital ROOTSELAAR.
Were the 2 victims found at the residence where the suspect lived?
Yes.
And why can't you elaborate on the relationship between the victims and in that residence and
I can't elaborate on that. So it is believed the victims of that residence and the suspect are family members.
Can you say what parent, sibling, what relationship that is?
Yes, the female adult victim is the mother of the suspect, and the youth male is the brother of the suspect, or stepbrother.
Can you expand, you talked about a history of mental health with this female suspect. Could you expand on that?
I'll give you perhaps remaining some general comments on that. Police had attended that residence on multiple occasions over the past several years, dealing with concerns of mental health with respect to our suspect. I can say that on different occasions, the suspect was apprehended for assessment and follow-up.
So apprehended under the Mental Health Act?
Yes.
Taken to hospital?
In some circumstances, yes.
Any indication whether or not the suspect was receiving any help for their mental health situation regarding counseling, any of those services that are involved?
I don't have that information at this time if the suspect was currently receiving care. I don't have that information at this time.
Any of the interactions with police, did any of them have to do with weapons?
Yes.
In particular?
Yes.
Could you expand on that, please?
I will say that, again, I'm not trying to be too circumspect, but police have attended that residence in the past, approximately a couple of years ago, where firearms were seized under the criminal code. I can say that at a later point in time, the lawful owner of those firearms petitioned for those firearms to be returned, and they were.
Were criminal charges laid in relation to those firearms?
No.
So on
What's
US
firearm?
with FYI Media, my question is, we've heard all around the world reports coming out from different media, not local but world, and we've heard people from Tumbler Ridge, actually people that know the shooter, and they are all saying that this person is transgender. Why is the RCMP not speaking to this? Why are we hiding this from the public?
Well, first off, thank you for your question. We're not hiding it. In fact, you're the first media to ask the question. I will say this. We identified the suspect as they chose to be identified in public and in social media. I can say that Jesse was born as a biological male who approximately, the information that I have, approximately 6 years ago began to transition to female and identified as female both socially and publicly.
Unfortunately, we've heard a lot of transgender as mass shootings. Do you think there's a correlation?
It's too early to say whether that has any correlation in this investigation. I think it's important to recognize that this investigation is still in its infancy. We have scenes still lock down the school and the residents while we execute search warrants and gather further evidence and talk to witnesses that may have further evidence for police.
Can you tell us about the web TV? I'm just wondering, can you tell me when police, prior to yesterday, last in contact with Jesse?
That's a good question. I probably have that answer somewhere here in my papers, but I believe we were there sometime last year.
So nothing in the last few days?
Nothing in the last few days, that's correct.
Okay, and you talked about the guns that were recovered. And can you say anything about who owned those guns, whether he had any sort of consent?
So I will say this. I know the guns are of significant interest to everybody. Part of the reason we haven't identified the specific models of the firearms or ownership is because at this point in time, our investigators continue to pursue those leads. We want to make sure that the information we do provide is accurate. We want to ensure that we can identify properly the ownership of the firearms, how they were procured, whether they were lawfully owned, unlawfully owned, whether they were manufactured, and whether there could be any other parties to an offense that we are not yet aware of. So when we are able to release that information, we certainly will.
He was quite young. Did he have a license to have a gun?
I can say that she had a license that had expired. I believe it was in 2024. She did not have any firearms registered to her.
Can you talk about, sir, any indication in the information you have regarding Jesse experiencing bullying at the school, any sort of difficulty at the school because of this transition from male to female?
I do not have any information to suggest that was the case. I can say that Jesse dropped out of school approximately 4 years ago and was not currently attending the school.
Sir, I have a question here from Jared from the Western Standard. They wanted to just know why we waited until now to confirm the identity of the suspect.
It's a good question. I know it's one of concern, specifically with the speed of social media. I think it's important to recognize that yesterday, when we first provided a media availability, it was approximately 5 hours after the active shooter event. At that point in time, we were still trying to lock down locations. We had victims that we were evacuating. As you can imagine, the scene was quite chaotic with significant amount of trauma. And it's important for us, when we do release information, to get it accurate. I point to the case of now having to correct and say that there's only 9 deceased persons instead of 10. We want to get information out as quick as possible, but we also appreciate that that information needs to be accurate, because particularly when we're dealing with victims or are dealing with the identity of a suspect, we have to take into consideration, in this case, our suspect was deceased. We had to locate next of kin to notify them. So I would hate, notwithstanding the public interest, I would hate for someone to find out that their loved one was deceased, coming from our podium or coming from the news media in advance of being told in person.
And then I have one other question here from Ruth with Energetic City. Was the suspect related to anyone in the school?
I can say that the suspect was not related to any of the victims of the school. I don't have any broader information beyond that, other than say that the suspect was related to the 2 victims at the private residence.
Did the suspect leave a note or any other communication in advance of this happening?
Not that we've located so far, but we are continuing to pursue that lead.
Sir, are you able to give us sort of what the police's working theory is on why this happened?
Well, we don't have an idea yet as to motive. And again, recognizing we're still less than 24 hours into this incident, it is something that we are certainly passionately pursuing. But it would be too early to speculate on motive at this time.
Was there a bolt put out to be on the lookout for prior to the shootings regarding the suspect?
Not that I'm aware of, but once the shootings commenced, we did issue the public police alert.
And did police open fire on the suspect?
Police did not return fire, to the best of my knowledge, but went into the school.
Where in the school were the victims killed?
There was one victim that was located deceased in the hallway, in the stairwell of the school, and the others were located, I believe, in the library of the school.
Can you comment on the home of the shooter? What was it like? Was it in disarray? Sometimes when there's some sort of abuse going on, there's certain things you can see in a home. Was it anything like that apparent?
I can't comment yet on the nature or the environment of the family home. It was locked down originally to secure a search warrant in order to allow our investigators to go in. So I can't comment at this point in time.
Can you tell us the rough address of the home, like where the 2 people found deceased?
I do have that information. It will be locked down, so I would respectfully ask members of the media and the public not to attend the scene of the family home, because we have a lot going on there, but it's 112 Fellers Avenue in Tumbler Ridge.
Regarding the home, were there additional firearms or weapons found during the search?
I don't have that information at this point in time. I can say that historically there were firearms that were secured at that residence in a safe, but I haven't updated with the investigators yet to determine if they've gone in and located more firearms.
Just looking for clarification, it talks about police being called to the school about an active shooting. Were they called to the home before that?
Yes, no, they were called after. So we understand the sequence of events, and I'll get to this. So we did not receive a call to attend the home until approximately 2:47 p.m. or 1:47 p.m. Pacific time. We were called because a neighbor, there was a young female at that home that went to the neighbors, and that's how we learned that there were 2 deceased at that residence. So the neighbor called the police. We know the sequence of events now is that the incident at the home occurred first, where we have the 2 deceased family members, and from there our suspect attended the school and commenced their criminal activity there.
What was the relationship of the child who alerted the neighbor to the victims and the suspect?
Family member.
Has the reunification process been completed for the injured and the evacuees?
For the students, and so most of the what I would call injured individuals are people that were assessed for for injury were released right in Tumbler Ridge shortly after receiving triage and or treatment. Those that have been medevaced, I can't speak to that, but I won't speculate on whether they've been in contact with their family. We're still dealing with extended family of those that are deceased.
Do police believe?
Okay, we're going to move on and bring you now some of the comments from the political side. First of all, Pierre Poilievre on Parliament Hill today, and I know that he has been interviewed on CPAC, but this is what he had to say today.
Obviously, we are all devastated by the news of this appalling shooting in Tumbler Ridge. The fact that this took place at a secondary school, it makes it even more tragic. As a father, I can't even imagine the phone calls that parents might have received. I can't imagine the heartache and hell that they're living through at this moment. This is a time for all Canadians to unite, to support the families and the community at large. We'll be in touch with the Prime Minister and the other parties later today to offer all of our support to work together and help the community in any way we can in this terrible time. I encourage all Canadians to pray for the community and pray for the family as we go forward and take the necessary steps to support them. Thank you very much.
Poilievre and Mark Carney also today.
It's obviously a very difficult day for the nation. This morning, parents, grandparents, sisters, brothers in Tumbler Ridge will wake up without someone they love. The nation mourns with you. Canada stands by you. I want to thank and pass on a number of world leaders who've reached out directly to me in solidarity and compassion. France, United Kingdom, His Majesty himself, Finland, India, United Arab Emirates, many others. The world is with you. I have spoken to Premier Eby. Minister of Public Safety has been engaged, as have many Canadian officials over the evening. Minister of Public Safety is en route to British Columbia. He and the Premier will be visiting the community. All assistance, obviously, will be offered. We thank the first responders, the teachers, the staff, the residents, for everything that they've done in this terrible situation. On the advice of the Clerk of the Privy Council and Heritage Canada, I've asked that the flags in the Peace Tower here and across all government buildings be flown at half-mast for the next 7 days. We will get through this, we will learn from this, but right now it's a time to come together, as Canadians always do in these situations, these terrible situations, to support each other, to mourn together, and to grow together.
And as I say, this story making international headlines, it's been a central point of discussion on social media, especially, I'd say, conservative, independent media and MAGA-centric media, because of the transgender element involved in this. And here's the War Room with Steve Bannon and Sheila Matthews addressing
the
this.
details around the internet is that it's a boy. It's a young adolescent boy. We have information that the mother was on Reddit looking for help because her son was being diagnosed with ADHD. So we know that psychiatric influences here. The fingerprints of the behavioral health industry is here. It appears that a picture is coming out with him, and the prime minister has postponed his trip to Germany that he was going to deal with this. And as we've spoken, this is a national crisis, not only in our country, but around the world. These psychiatric drugs are linked to increased risk of suicide and mass murder. And so we have this latest in Canada, which has the strongest gun laws. So it's not the guns. And the mother obviously was, I believe she's been killed, but the facts on the ground seem to be that this young adolescent boy was dressed in a woman's dress. And so we have some adults around this young boy that really needs to be questioned. Again, we're looking for the mental health records. We're looking for the psychiatrist. Of course, this is Canada, but we're doing that here as well, Steve. We can't get, you're talking about the SAFE Act. We can't get the Congress and the Senate to do an exit plan for the 1 in 4 children or adults that are on these psychiatric drugs. So we have a disgusting situation here of children on cocktails of drugs and then placed on puberty blockers and all sorts of things. But they start with the psychiatric diagnoses. They start in the behavioral health industry, which is a $1 billion industry. So, it's hard to get into the devil's den, as you know, to pull these numbers. And these numbers tell the story. It's over and over, and nobody will address this. If we care about children, which everybody's so up in arms about, which I am, let's look at these psychiatrists and what they're doing to our children.
Okay, so a lot of different opinions, a wide range of opinions on this incident, on these issues surrounding it. Here is one of the students from the school, Darian Quist, with his mom.
Went off that I've never heard before. And our
Talking
principal
about the
goes throughout
incident.
the halls and she's saying, people close your doors, lock down, stuff like that. I thought it was a secure and hold and something like that at first. But once things started circulating, we realized how serious it really was. So we all barricaded up the doors with some iron tables and sat in that room for around 2 hours. I was on my phone with my mother the entire time. And about 2 hours and 30 minutes passed when we went onto lockdown. RCMP got in. We're telling everyone to put their hands up, and we were all escorted out of the building and sent towards the community center where I met up with.
Yeah. And that clip from Australia, from the Sydney Morning Herald, again, international coverage on this. And as I say, a wide range of opinions, views on this LGBTQS plus advocate with a different take altogether. And when you call in, you might have a different opinion, or maybe you'll agree.
As a person who went to school, had hateful comments directed my way, the first victim of this tragedy was the shooter. And you can disagree all you want. But that person did not just decide one day that it was the day. It was the day that they could not take it any longer. I know it's a small community, but you know what also comes with a small community? A small mindset. An uneducation to understand that maybe difference is okay. The first victim to this tragedy was the shooter. Verbal abuse is what pushes people to a point where they don't feel worthy to be here any longer. And And I only know this because I am a victim of this still to this day. There's only so much a person can handle. And I believe that in a small community, the hate and the transphobia in this country is the reason why tragedies happen.
Okay. And we're going to go to the phones now. You can call in at 1-647-734-4220. Okay, Mavericks, it's call-in time. Join the conversation. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Exercise your right to free speech. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Maverick News. Call now. The world is watching and listening to you.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
All right, let's go to the phones. We have our first caller on the line.
Hello,
And
Maverick.
hello, sir. Is that you, Ian?
It's the good old dragon, and you're only Ian on the line.
Well, you're the first caller of the night, and thank you for calling in. To kick things off this evening, I'll just ask you right up front, what are your first thoughts on this? What's your reaction? How did you take this yesterday when this news first came down?
Well, I was kind of shocked because it's unusual to have some mass shooting in a school in Canada in general. So to me, it was unfortunate and, well, kind of unusual. And I started to, well, think about what are the extent of it, or where does that come from? And I'm thinking that, well, I have a cultural drip probably coming from the south border, but that's another story.
You feel that this is like did you say a cultural drift or a drip?
Yeah, a drip from the U.S., if you will, because it's something that it's akin to their culture, which we don't have here. And looking at the stats, it's something that is growing rampage pretty much everywhere in Canada. Violence at school and youth violence and stuff like that. So actually, we're going to look into it if you want to.
Sure. Yeah. I see it as I've watched this over the last 2 days. It's all sort of the standard knee-jerk reactions that I'm witnessing with that you would normally get from the U.S. side and on the Canadian side. As I've seen news coverage of this, I've seen criticism of uh, the way it's this is being covered, and even criticism of Canada making it too American in some cases. Uh, and then of course it fuels the standard debates on gun laws, gun rights, the transgender issue, if you want to call it an issue. And then you just heard on the war room with Bannon the comments about uh, ADHD and Ritalin and behavioral drugs, antidepressants, how those things might factor into the mental state of someone who would perpetrate this kind of horrific crime. And then, of course, you have the bullying question always comes up when something like this happens. But you're quite right, I think, Ian, when you talk about this being sort of an American or an America-centric kind of problem because of the prevalence of guns, the gun culture, the controversy surrounding all of that, the constitutional rights that Americans have with regard to gun rights, that it's not as prominent up here, but you do, especially I think more in Western Canada than Eastern Canada, the questions about gun rights and all of this rising to the surface of course because of this tragedy that we've seen unfold in Tumbler Ridge. So you've been digging into this and looking up stats and doing some background research on this today. So where did that take you?
Well, it takes me where since 2021, we have a rise in youth crimes. So basically, crime made by 12 to 17-year-olds. And if you look into I actually gave you a text earlier and telling you about youth crime have been raising about 16% in Montreal only since 2021. And if you look into what happened in Longueuil, which is on the south shore of Montreal, which is a little place that I know well because I've been living there for a while. Well, right now it's on the raise of 64%. And if you look at Longueuil, it's an agglomeration of few districts from the south shore of Montreal, which blends Boucherville. You got also St. Lambert, Greenfield Park, and St. Hubert, and I think also St. Bruno, so I mean, in that overall portion of the Montérégie, you have a lot of rise of crime. And there's also the chief of the police of Longueuil, Chief Patrick Bélanger, who made a statement, I think 2 days ago, about actually the rise of youth violence. So, and it's kind of akin of what happened, if you remember what I did 2 years ago at the Kennedy, John F. Kennedy High School in Montreal. There were some stabbing about 2 years ago. Yeah. And it's all kind of related or non-related really, but at the same time, it's the same motive operandi, and it's the same kind of thing that is happening here and there. So,
yeah. So it's your view then that Canada is becoming, in some respects, Americanized?
Yeah, I would say so. And I mean, look, I got also my own personal story, if you will. When I was 15. I was looking a lot at what's going on the news, right? I always been a news avert kind of guy, and looking at shooting at school, I would say, because I was a guy under the bullies, right? I was the kind of guy that bully loves to bully, and it was offering me at some point. I was almost getting to the point where I could have become violent, and if I wouldn't have not have the help that I had back then, I would have probably turned into something. Well, probably I wouldn't not even be here for just to give you an idea. And that's because of the inspiration of what I was seeing in the US.
So
And
you
we're
were,
speaking about 1990s.
yeah.
So, I mean, if I can blend my story into that, if you will,
Yeah.
I mean, I can probably put myself into the shoes of a youngster today into that new era, being probably bullied and whatnot, and at some point just, lose it at some point because I could have been there.
So you're saying you were bullied when you were younger, and you understand the psychological impact of that.
Yeah. And when I was looking at, for example, the killing of the people in Columbine and whatnot, the thing that was resonating to me was they were being bullied. And that's the only way to feel stronger was probably to go there and do something wrong. And that's where, I would say that, well, it was my conscience who were telling me, is that the right way to go or not? But when you don't have the right people around you and the right tools to get around that thought, you probably can do something wrong. And this is where I think that we have this problem today with social media and how things are looping back again and again, which create that sort of psychology of today.
Okay, so don't leave us hanging here, folks. Call in now at 1-647-734-4220. And then when prompted, punch in that PIN number of 860-075-764, followed by the pound or number sign. And you can join this conversation. Now, I know that it is a sensitive topic. Some people probably feel uncomfortable calling in to talk about it, especially because of the transgender element involved in all of this. But I know that people have strong feelings on this. And, I did invite a few different people to call in tonight to participate. And I hope they do call because I know that it's been a subject that has been front and center on the political front, especially for like the People's Party of Canada has made, parental rights and transgender issues, LGBTQS plus issues, and drag queen story time issues. All of those things have been very much front and center for people on the conservative side of the aisle. So tonight, it's risen to the surface as a result of this incident out in British Columbia. The question is, was the transgender factor actually a factor in the shooting, or was it something else? Were there other things that motivated this? And of course, the investigation is still in its infancy, its early stages, really, even today, and it's day 2 in the aftermath of all this. But do you have any views on any of that, Ian?
Well, I'm trying to reflect on the question. And on my part, as a dyslexic and ADHD diagnosed young, I was on Ritalin back then, which is the same kind of medicine, if you will. The only difference is the impact that it has on you, which one is to make you be more focused on what you're doing. And the other one is, well, just puberty blocker. And you know that both are hormonal or neuronal medicine. So I'm asking myself, is that an effect? Because it could be. Right. I mean, on my part, if I look at what happened to me or what I've been through and the way I've coped with it, could probably explain a few things.
Sure. So we have another caller joining us now. Who's on the line with us?
Hi, Rick. It's Sharon from Brandon, Manitoba.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi,
What's
Rick.
up, Sharon?
Hi, Ian. Bonsoir, Ian. That's my best fare.
Cool.
So what are you thinking?
I'm sad. I'm sad. I want to say, Ian, I can't imagine what you were going through back in the 90s and it does hurt. I mean, if one is being bullied and bullied and bullied, I mean, thank goodness that I thank God that you had the help you had then. I can't imagine what it's like now for younger people with the advent or with the addition of technology where there's an immediate, visual response on TikTok or other ways
You're
of,
right.
yeah.
And there's
Oh, go
another
ahead.
thing actually. It's also the validation. You go on
Yeah.
social media, you say I'm frustrated because I'm being bullied, and you got some people who will glorify to you to go do something, and you'll go like, yeah, you know what, it's a good idea. I'll go to for a killing spree and whatnot, and you'll probably push you. It will push you to do the bad thing. So you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, very hurtful, no matter the decade, to whoever it may be, a young man or a young girl. And I don't care what the sexual preference is or what that individual is going through, what as to who they are, because we're still at that age, at that young age, young brain, figuring out what life's all about. So I'm just sad to
Yeah.
hear that this person was so angry and so upset and so hurt that he took this route.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what strikes me every time there's an incident like this, certainly on the U.S. side, and now in British Columbia, is as soon as something like this happens, you see instantly this political divide, and
Yeah.
one side is hoping that it's some white supremacist or something that has perpetrated the crime, and the other side is hoping that it's a transgender LGBTQ plus person, so that they
Yeah.
can blame the other side for the crime and the tragedy. And I saw that really unfolding in this Canadian media ecosystem that we have online overnight, as there was this race on to identify the shooter and then affix blame or take that person and push them into a group. It's like, see, I told you that's what it would be. And it's like a victory, it's you can see like they're hoping that it will be what they want it to be so they can use it for political purposes. And I find it really distasteful. And that
Yeah.
is an Americanization of Canada that I saw happen overnight.
Yeah, if
It's
something like that would happen in the US and Trump would say, try to find me some proof that it was Intifada or something like that so we can, purge certain group of people.
Yeah.
why are we so, like, it's almost like we quote unquote we seem to be addicted to crisis porn. It's almost like we need that shot of adrenaline again and again and again, day in and day out. What's the next big hot topic? What's the next thing that will, just give me a reason to listen? Well, if that's giving you a reason to get your rocks off, is to engage in disgusting, sickening, finger pointing, blaming. I mean, what the heck, you know what I mean, is going on with us, uh, generally. And what moved my heart a lot is I didn't realize, and it kind of made my my eyes water a little, when the whole world is acknowledging what had happened. And before, I don't know, Rick, I don't know, I'll ask you, we've had horrific tragedies in the past, isolated incidents. I think, Ian, if I'm not correct, an engineer that, a few decades ago had killed so many women engineers. It's not Polytechnique, is
You're
it? It's
speaking
not.
about the Polytechnique of Montreal.
Okay. Yes.
That was actually, I did ask some question earlier to Grok about that. That was Marc Lépine who did actually the killing at Polytechnique. I don't remember exactly the date. I'll have to look it up. But basically, what he did, and I do remember that well when I was a young kid. Basically, it was a misogynistic act what he did, because for some reason he didn't like women's. Oh, I got it here. So hold on, I'm gonna try to get the
Yeah, no
date
rush.
here. December 6th, 1989. Marc Lépine, 25, walked into the Polytechnique of Montreal with a semi-automatic targeted woman. Basically, what he did is said to the
It was
woman
awful.
to go
Just
on one
awful.
side of
Yeah.
the class, the guy on the other side, and shoot in the woman's side.
You know, I don't know what it's going to take, some type of miracle or some type of a huge shift of some type toward peace or toward reason or toward logic, because all of this is just, to me, and you guys can input what you think, but it means it's displaced, it's anger, hate that is displaced. It's done in the most horrific way, in taking another person's life and without taking another person's life. So I hope.
Well,
I'm not.
I
I'm not
can
going to
tell
say
you
this is
one
going to.
thing.
Oh yeah.
One people like this would actually, if you look at what happened with Columbine and other killings of that sort, it's basically the roots of you have hurt me, so I'm gonna hurt you. That's what kind of bring those people to that extent, I think. And
But even
the way that
yourself,
they
you were
are
saying.
hurt.
But Ian,
Sorry?
you sound very, very reasoned and logical. I mean, not just you, but I think anyone, if they were constantly harassed and abused or, physically, emotionally, I think any one of us could easily crack. So
Oh yeah.
I just hope that I don't know what else to say, Rick. I'm hoping, I don't know what else to say.
Well, I think that everything you've said is very valid. I think that, honestly, everybody, all the points of view that we've displayed here tonight, I think there's some validity in all of it. But a lot of this is driven by media. It is driven by
It
social
is.
media,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
And
that's it.
and even the response to it drives it more, because it turns it into a reality show online, which the public engages in, because you've got the filter of the screen and the internet detaching you from the reality of it. You watch it like it's a show,
Yes.
right? So
It's
you
not a
become
show.
desensitized to it, but it is very real. But
Yeah.
to the human brain, I think that it becomes increasingly difficult to differentiate between reality and fiction, especially with AI. But that aside, we've been going through this, and then I see the response from streamers online, and Marshall McLuhan, and that it's become a cliche, but the medium is the message. And I saw that last night, because as soon as something like this happens, you get the response from the live streamers and mainstream media, who spring into action because they see an opportunity to not really serve the public interest, but to get
No.
clicks and generate tons of views. And then it's a race, because it's a business, and they can generate YouTube views and revenue and build their channels. And also, this is also what's going on that I think people are maybe not clued into.
Bloods make
All
rating.
of this is influenced as well by what the narrative on this stuff is. Like, what do I have to say in order to get the audience, right? It's like, if I'm on the conservative side, I've got certain talking points, and I have to say certain things.
Yeah.
And then if I do that, I'll get that audience. And so that's what goes on. And so it's not even about accuracy anymore necessarily. It's about saying the right things to
echo chamber.
To get your audience and build your channel.
Yep.
You said something really that I think for me hit it right on the mark, what I was trying to describe before. And when you had mentioned it in another show earlier, not just maybe 4 or 5 days ago, you were talking about an avalanche, an avalanche of news stories that were irresponsibly handled versus an avalanche, well, not so much now, of responsible, professional, accountable journalism.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have
Someone
another,
else is on the line.
yeah, somebody else just joined. Who's there?
Hi, this is David
Hello, David.
from Melbourne.
Hi, David.
Can you hear me? Hi, guys.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to give my views on it. Male or female, whatever it is, it's a human being, right? And we have to
Yeah.
respect it. And we can't have this division constantly. But I don't see it as a younger, like I'm a senior. I don't see it as a younger thing. We look at, for instance, I'm in Alberta, and we have that Roscoe. He was 46, and he killed the 4 RCMP. And
Right.
my brother committed suicide. 2 of my nephews did. I believe it's a mental illness, and we need to reach out to these people. Like in Tumbler Ridge, it's very isolated, and
Yeah.
they don't have the resources that a big city has that could help
Yeah.
people. And so, but there's so much division in the world now, and like in Alberta here with the separatists, and you've seen it with these radicals with the Freedom Convoy, and then they were in with the ostrich farm, and it creates so much hatred in the world, and it's so sad. So
Yeah.
the way the world is going.
Yeah.
That's a good point, David. That's a good point.
Yeah, that's because of the stroll of dopamine that we ingest every time that we like or that we are driven by something that we see that will get our attention, basically. And that's how it works. It's basically a dopamine rush that we always get. And dopamine, I mean, it's something that an hormone that your brain secrete, and it comes all the time. I mean, and at some point, it's overdosing. So, and you got to have more and more and more every time.
Yeah, it can be regulated too, the dopamine, right?
Yep.
With prescription. But Rick, you were saying too with the media and that, and I seen a post today from the Rebel News with Adria, and she was, saying like how it is, it was a trans person, and then right away everybody's blaming the liberals in the comments and that. The media creates such terrible stuff out there.
Yeah,
I just wish, David. Oh, sorry. Go
yeah,
ahead.
just knee-jerk reaction. I'm on this team. This is my tribe. This is what I'm going to say. They're looking for, right? That we're conditioned now, I think, as a society to look for those points that are going to reinforce our arguments and reinforce our belief system too. Go ahead, Sharon.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to say what I meant was by a good point, David, was the fact that the lack of maybe mental health services for people in smaller rural areas or smaller towns, and that's a very good point. And it's unfortunate now in today's media that they don't have people talking about this, as opposed to what Rebel News has pointed out, which is to me relevant. I mean, that's a very good point.
Well, I can tell you something actually, and I got probably a good answer to that. In rural, it's more usual for you guys to have weapons because you do a lot of hunting and whatnot, right? Where in Montreal and agglomeration of cities like here, the most of what you're gonna have is stabbing and knife attack kind of thing, or sometime mace or those kind of thing. Rarely you're gonna have some guns, but it does happen. The thing is that like those reports that I did, for example, with the Kennedy High School 2 years ago, that was a stabbing that happened like few blocks away from the school. So basically what happens, and I'll tell you how the roots of things goes with the kids, is basically we're going to be on a feud all together, and you know, one is going to be the bully in all of us, and we're not going to fight at school because that's where the problem is going to get us, right? We're going to get expelled, or we're going to get some detention and whatnot, right? So we don't want that. So what we do is we go few block away where we're not in the premise of the school. So the school have no say on what we're doing. And that's where the fight happens. And that's where you got the worst of the worst that can happen too. Depends on if you got gangs and whatnot. So in Montreal and Longueuil, if you look at it, there's a lot of stabbing going on outside of schools, but all feuds comes from school. So that's, I think, how it spreads, or how you have a trend going on. Maybe it explains a few things here.
And another thing too that just popped in my head, and I'm thinking of more, not so much you, Ian, but for myself, Rick and David. You know, in the good old days when young, well, not so much young girls, not so much Ben, but young boys, if they had an argument or if they had a problem, you know, sometimes you would hear the dad say, well, you got to go out and have a fight. You got to punch him back. And I'm thinking, God, this seems like ancient to me. I mean, wasn't that kind of resolved back then, where there was just a good old fashioned fist fight, or someone came home with a black eye and someone didn't? Like I don't know what happened there. And if you want to take it really general or just society wise, that's my thought is how did that change? And it could be I know there's many answers behind it, but go ahead.
The good old invitation to the bus stop.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, you're right too. Like, you know, you used to deal with it like, you know, after school out in the back or whatever. But, you know, like I'm a big guy, and like I'm 6'1" and 280, and you know, sometimes I get scared in the city, like if I go into the city and road rage and that, you know, if you pick somebody off, do they have a gun? You know, you just don't know. It's a different kind of world. Eh?
It is, yes.
I've just noticed people are a lot angrier.
Yes.
Than it used to be. I was at a Canadian Tire store a few months ago now, and I was at customer service, and this guy came up. I didn't know him, and he was just really angry, and he decided that I was taking up too much time, although I'd been there like all of about 60 seconds. And I won't get into the details, but he was just a really angry guy who wanted and pushed me out of the way, and he was ready to have a fight with me. He came up from behind me. I'd never seen the guy in my life before. It was the weirdest thing. And I just, somebody's having a real bad day there, but I'm seeing it more often. Do you have any thoughts on why that is? Anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got a similar story too.
Okay.
I was I think it was 2 months ago. I was at the grocery, and some days, you know, I got hard time with my back. So one of my legs doesn't want to move once in a while when I have to pick up some stuff. So I'm at the grocery paying my stuff, and as I grab my backpacks with full of shit, basically the guy behind me goes like, as my leg start to go numbs on me, he goes like, are you advancing? Hurry up. It's like, bro, I got an handicap. Shut the hell up. It's like, no, I'm not having it. It's like, seriously, the guy was really aggressive, like, move. No, I got a problem. Move away. You know, you can do you can pass around, right? I mean, yeah, it's what it is.
I mean, my
and
view,
you're right. People getting more aggressive.
Yeah, my view is that it's partly the politics. The politics that has descended upon us right now is more divisive than ever. There's so much anger in the politics, so much finger pointing, so much blaming. And the solution for many is, I don't care anymore. I just want what I want. I don't care about voting. I don't care what you think. I just want what I want. And since I didn't get it in the last election, I just want to beat the crap out of you. That's really kind of what it comes down to. And it's being justified, I think, by the guy in the White House right now with the way he talks.
Well, social media also has a lot to play on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's very
Yeah, I think
because it's all about echo chamber and glorification of your ideas and validation. If people keeps validating your wrong idea and tell you that, oh, it's a good idea, keep doing it, well, you're just being pushed to pursue the wrong direction. So yeah, and what does that makes? Narcissism to a certain degree.
So the question, I guess, really with regard to Tumbler Ridge is, was the problem with the shooter, was it because this person was transgender, or was it because of the pressures and the abuse that maybe they were being subjected to because of the way they were perceived or dealt with by society, their community?
Yeah, I think,
you know?
yeah, I think social media has accelerated what's always been there. But I think social media has accelerated and compacted in some way the timeline where I have to think about this, Rick, because when you think there's been, when there's been, I'm talking society wise shifts in behavior, like on a worldwide level, like I'd have to stop and think about, I guess this is, I don't know if this is philosophy, I don't know, but there's been certain shifts in human
you're right. I think I know what you're trying to say, and
human behavior,
the question
like
would
just
be,
human value.
is social media did accelerate the derangement, if you will, in certain people, or the frustration rate, if you will, to a point where people are having this fed up moment, like I cannot take it anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
I think maybe the right words are not so much accelerate, but focus and amplify.
Highlight?
Focus and
Yes.
amplify.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'll have to think about that question. That's a good question, because there's I'm just in the immediate, in the present, I am just again, like, and in this instance within Canada and the what happened, the incident, why this may have happened, it's disheartening and it's heartbreaking, and not, for a lot of people right now. And I'm going to, I don't want to repeat myself. I'm going to go now, Rick. I'm going to listen to you guys, but I just like what the Prime Minister had indicated with the half-mast of the flag, and I think we all need to take a moment to stop and pause and pray for these souls that left violently, and I appreciate your time, you guys.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Rick.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good night.
And David, do you think this has changed Canada?
Not really, I don't think. I think, we're still going to have the, the person was ousted there, he was different, and, and then obviously the RCMP spokesman said that he, mental health was at his place for several times in the last few years. So, and that was a big factor in it. And then you get, that he's, a different person, and then he's picked on in a small community. So I think it can happen anywhere. I just think our country has changed so much. I recall growing up and stuff, and, our house doors were unlocked, and, neighbors helped each other. I live out in the country right now, and I don't even know my neighbors. It's so much fear, and, that, I don't know what creates it, Rick, but
yeah.
Yep.
Another person joining us on the line, I think from the Toronto area, if I'm not mistaken. Who's with us?
Hi, this is Michael Bader. How you doing?
Well, just fine. Welcome back, Mr. Bader. Great to have you here. Thanks for calling in. So, of course, you probably all remember Michael because he is the PPC candidate of record up there in the Burlington area. And so, what are you thinking, Michael?
It's a privilege.
Well, thanks. It's a privilege to be here as well and to have people actually give a crap about this. And so I guess my thoughts first would go out to the families. I just couldn't imagine going through what Dan Hartman's gone through, and now all these people are going to go through the same thing. I've seen it before too with people having their daughter or son commit suicide and the impact it has on them. I just hope that these lives aren't taken in vain, and that maybe this is the event that will put the fire under people and lift the veil of insanity that the true cause is, instead of the typical liberal, oh, it's guns, when we have the most strict gun laws in our entire history, bluffing and fluffing it off, not even calling the person a trans person, when the root cause is mental illness. And in my opinion, I think all this has to go. The Pride Month, all the indoctrination, the mutilation, Bill C-4, the whole thing is not just a failure, but responsible for killing people, maiming people. And so I really hope that people will start to speak out more about this. And we got to stop enabling mental health issues. We've got to stop enabling drug addicts. And we've got to start doing the right thing, which is help them. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. I just jumped in, so I missed a little bit.
So, Michael, do you think that, like we saw this clip from the from the Steve Bannon program, where they're talking about prescription drugs, antidepressants and things like that? Do you think that's much of a factor?
Well, SSRIs definitely, and I would have to say that they definitely would play a role, because apparently, and don't quote me on this, it's been a while, but I believe there is a connection between SSRIs and these drugs, hormone drugs, things of that nature. And I remember a long time ago quitting smoking, taking Zantac or some type of thing like that, and one of the side effects was suicidal thoughts, right? So immediately I'm like, well, or, certain dreams, all these things. And I'm like, well, I really want to quit smoking. Dude, after taking this stuff for less than a week, my boss came up and asked me if I was okay. And at that moment, I knew, yeah, I'm not okay. It's got to be this stuff. So me taking that for 4 days, I can't imagine a lifetime of people taking this for years. So I'm of the adage that, yeah, I think something's up with that.
Any response to any of that, Ian?
Well, I'm not sure if we should probably, well, it's probably an idea. To be quite honest, I have to reflect on this one, because I know that Pride is very important in Montreal. Not that I give a lot of importance to it personally, but it's part of the culture. And I think it would be hard, for the Montreal culture to get rid of it to a certain degree. But yeah, it's a question that we should probably ask ourselves. Is it really, how can I put that? Is it really triggering that much violence because of the division that it's creates? I think it's a farewell question.
So Michael, there was a clip that we ran earlier of someone saying that the first victim was actually the shooter because they had suffered. I think there's making an assumption that this person had been bullied. Okay, if that's the case, they're saying that this is the psychological damage that is manifesting itself in through the shootings. What's your view on that? Is the issue that, or is it another? Is there another way to look at the situation?
Well, the issue is, let's address mental health issues and get to the root causes. like I said this before, and it's just because it was so impactful to me. But when on a space with Theo Fleury a couple years ago, you know, a lot of these people that, and this was coming from more the addiction, drug addiction, you know, not the, you know, mass shooter or trans stuff, but it all boils down to the same thing. He said that one of the greatest discoveries he made was the fact that people do drugs and do all these things because they have pain in them. They have some trauma, right? And that's the root cause. And then once you realize that and can put that aside and forgive yourself, and believe it or not, forgive the person that did sexually molest you, right? Like literally that's, you know, he ended up finding Jesus, but there's other people in the group that just figured out a way to put that pain behind them. So I think the society has failed here to be to blame because we're enabling a mental illness that manifests itself, and big pharma is all too quick to just sell you drugs and make money off you and prey off the vulnerable. And I don't think that's right. I think if we really cared about these people the way these virtue signalers do and the way these drug pushers would believe you that they're doing, I think we really have to start having those conversations and start really caring for people and start helping them and start to make them realize that they're pretty amazing. They might be a little confused now, but they're pretty amazing. And the other thing we know is that the suicide rate on trans goes up insane. We know that so many mass shootings have been done by trans individuals. So to me, it's not guns, it's not knives, it's not cars, it's mental health. So it is us as a society failing that man. It wasn't the bullying, it wasn't anything else. It was us enabling a mental illness and not giving him the love and the support that he desperately needed.
So when you say,
Yeah, well, actually,
go ahead, Ian. Sorry.
Actually, you know what? I agree with Michael. Because look, I'm personally, I smoke weed often because actually it's the way that I numb the way that I feel about the trauma that I had since I was a kid. Okay. Because I was not really sexually molested, but more like physically assaulted. So thing is that it's true that it always gave me like a problem to advance clearly in life. And I mean, no, I do understand what you're saying, and I think it's true. It's a form of mental illness because all my life I've been dealing with, say, um, um, I was always dealing with moments where I had, you know, suicidal moments or, you know, depression and so on. So, yeah, I can understand what it is. And to be quite honest, I never really had a job because of that. I never, and even the government right now is not looking at it or accepting it as a form of invalidity on welfare. So that's kind of crucial to understand. I think that there's something that is going wrong in the system and probably in society in general.
We have somebody else joining us on the line. Who's there?
Oh, hi, my name's Ellen. I'm very nervous. I've never called in before. I've been watching you since the convoy, but I just wanted to tell my story about my son. It was back in 2010. He was 17. He has autism, and he hadn't slept for about 3 days. He was going to a special needs school up until grade 10. But then it only went to grade 10, so he went to mainstream high school, and he didn't fit in very well, and he sort of got catatonic, and we phoned the crisis line, and they said to bring him to a hospital to get his physical symptoms checked out, and they checked him out, put him on EKG, checked his heart, sent us home, and my husband and him went up to have some cake. This was about 11 o'clock at night. And I was outside having a cigarette before I came in. And then I heard the screaming, and he had stabbed my husband. And I just wish they hadn't sent him home that day. He wasn't on any medications. I'm thinking, well, he is now. I mean, it took for him to kill my husband for him to get help.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
The system really failed him. And he's, anyway, I just want to share that.
Well, thank you very much for sharing something that is deeply troubling you. And, we are failing as a society, because if you judge your society by how you treat the vulnerable, we're failing miserably, right? We don't put anything into mental health. We'd rather say, oh, don't worry about it. Here, just take drugs.
So with
Or,
your with your
yeah,
son,
we're gonna check.
with your son, what were there signs that you must have seen there were problems, but you didn't? Nobody realized how bad it was.
He has autism. He saw psychiatrists all throughout his life.
Yeah.
I mean, he did hear voices. He was suspicious. When he started high school, he thought his science teacher was putting electrodes behind his kidneys and his heart and his eyes, and that's why it went, So, and then he was just sitting in the living room, just kind of staring at the space, almost catatonic, and that's when we brought him into the hospital. This was about 10 o'clock at night. He hadn't slept for about 2 or 3 days. He wasn't eating, and yeah. We took him in to get help, but they sent us home. And the media was just going nuts. I closed all my windows. I didn't talk to anybody because I didn't want this getting out in the media. So
was this maybe the result of, the big push, especially at the time, to sort of integrate people with developmental disabilities and other issues into the community, like the community living push, rather than have them treated in institutions or cared for institutionally? Do you think that was part of the issue, that he didn't get the care that he needed, that it was a misguided social and political policy?
Oh, I don't know. This was 16 years ago now.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, somebody else just joined us on the line. Who's there with us?
Hi, this is Trish.
Hello, Trish.
And I do want to say, yeah, that's a sad story, that you didn't get the help you needed, and it was recognized that your son needed help.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was 11 o'clock at night by the time we got home, and so we thought, well, and then, we were saying, well, you don't have to go to that high school anymore. We'll homeschool you. I just wish that the school that he went to, it was called Discovery School, and it was for people with disability, educational challenges. And that school does go to grade 12 now, but at that time it didn't.
So what happened to your son after the incident? What did they do?
Well, he was in jail overnight, and then he was in a youth detention center on Vancouver Island. And then he went to Burnaby, the psychiatric unit. And then he went to a place called Maples on the mainland, which was good. They had a school there. They had, and it was all like for youth. He even graduated there. He's living in Souk now, under the arm of forensics. He's got support workers and yeah. I mean, he's doing okay now. He's got his own studio suite, and he has support workers that see him regularly.
I see.
And, you know, he comes and stays with. Pardon me?
Sorry. Can I ask, was your son, prior to that incident, did you ever worry that he would be violent?
No, absolutely
No.
not. I mean,
Okay.
there's not a violent bone in his body. But they were in the kitchen, and I guess he was hearing voices, some bad voices or something, and he grabbed the kitchen knife and he one stab to the chest, and that was it.
That
And then
was
he tried
why
to
I
stab
called
himself.
in.
Pardon me?
Because that's why I called in when you were speaking to the fact that he hadn't slept in 3 days.
Yeah.
And so, pardon me. I had many years ago, after I had my third child, I had 2 babies at home, and I wasn't getting any sleep. And that's when I understood what mental illness was, because my reality from lack of sleep got very distorted. And I was walking around fearful of people, paranoid. But at the moment that that's happening, you don't recognize that it's irrational until I started getting sleep. And then I went to the doctor and I said, something's wrong with me. And the doctor explained to me that this is what happens when you're in that psychosis. You don't recognize it. But people around you don't either. Like, I had people around me, and I asked them after, I said, did you not recognize something was wrong with me? No, you seem fine. So, I just, when you were telling your story, I thought, oh my goodness, this is what must happen to a lot of people. And unfortunately, our medical system is not equipped. They're not, I don't think there's a lot of professionals out there who understand exactly what's happening with people. Yeah. Unless it's something like schizophrenia or, you know, those kind of.
Well, that's what he's labeled now, that he has schizophrenia. But I mean, he's had autism all his life with anxiety, you know, that comes with autism and.
Okay.
But
and it makes you wonder, because now, I mean, I feel so bad for your son, for yourself, for your loss. What he must, the trauma he must be going through, because he knows what he did.
Oh, he has so much guilt right now, and every time I talk to him, he's saying, you know, do you forgive me? And you know, it's something that could have been prevented, I think, but it
yes,
I don't know.
Yes, because as soon as you said he hadn't slept for 3 days and wasn't being rational, I thought, sleep deprivation and any sort of depression or any, you know, anything like that, a mixture, and it can cause a psychosis. And it doesn't mean you're off your rocker. It doesn't mean you don't know where you are or who you are, but it causes you to have a distorted reality. That's so unfortunate. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry for your family, for yourself. Yeah. And I agree with you. I think it could have been prevented.
Yeah. Yeah, it was hard times. I mean, I was taking the ferry to Vancouver 3 days a week, and you know, it got pretty expensive to have GoFundMe back in those days.
Oh, absolutely. You know? So yeah, I agree with the conversation that's going on. I think it's, I don't even know if you call it mental illness, but mental instability, whatever it is, I don't think our medical system is equipped. I don't think because I've been put on medications and things. Medication can cause you to feel more depressed. It can cause you to feel paranoid. I did much better without medication and by using other tools.
I mean, my husband was against medications. They wanted to put him on medications when he was younger, but he is now, and it's been kind of a challenge trying to get the right,
Yeah, it's
type of medication.
difficult. And I mean, I'm not saying that medication doesn't have its place. I'm not, advocating for that, but I think in a lot of situations, I don't think our healthcare system has the time anymore to do the one-on-one with patients.
Yeah.
That's missing. People don't have family doctors that were part of their family in the last 50 years. Like, I'm a senior. So in the old days, you would
Yeah, I'm
have
going
a
to be
family
65 in a
doctor,
week.
yeah, but you would have that family doctor, and they would be your doctor and your children's doctor and their children's doctor. And so they knew your history and they knew your dynamics. And the doctors now are seeing people that they might meet once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've been waiting about 10 years and more for a family doctor myself in Montreal.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's how the system is broken.
And what about the political side of this, Michael, as you're taking all this in?
Well, I think I think there's a couple of things or multiple things going on, right? You have a situation where we've neglected our healthcare and are always cutting off of the budget for mental health, right? We just kind of cut it. Then we haven't really done anything with our infrastructure with regards to hospital beds and, having family doctors for everybody. And then you have to ask yourself, well, why? Why is our healthcare going down the tubes? Well, one of the things definitely is it's overburdened, underfunded in the mental health. We're throwing money to profit other people and not actually get to the root cause of issues, right? Because so many things can be solved if you have the support network for these people at the moments that they need them, right? To be able to have that sense of community that we used to have when there was no Amazon and there was mom and pop shops. Like what you said about having your family doctor in the community and people getting to know each other, that's another issue too that probably contributes to mental health issues because we're slowly isolating ourselves from the way we used to be always going out and doing stuff, even if it was just to go pick up a package at Best Buy. Now you just click on your phone. Just things like that. The other one would probably be mass immigration. The demand on our health system is out of control when we bring in so many immigrants and we have chain immigration. These are people that haven't contributed, and yet we have all these other people that contributed their whole lives, maybe 40, 45 years, paying into a pension that they can't live on. Yet we have families coming in getting up to $125,000 of our money. So that's why I think the health system's broken. I think those things, if they got fixed, which I don't know if you ever roll back Amazon or get to that, but at least reducing the demand will allow us to breathe better. And maybe instead of 10 years getting a family doctor, it won't take so long. And there's other things that are broken with that too. There's a gentleman I met, he retired because he hates the system. They have too much administration in it. He was able to see 5,000 patients on a regular basis with his nurse, no problem. They introduce all this paperwork and he's filling out paperwork and his nurses are filling out more paperwork than they are actually spending time with the patients. So that potentially anecdotal scenario might also be a factor. I don't know, but that's from a political opinion, we have to do something about the healthcare. and to take the demand off of it. And I mean, taking that demand off is going to help you too on the highway. It's going to help you get to see your doctor quicker, to go through emergency quicker. It'll also take the heat off of rising costs for housing, etc. Right? And so I think you have a win-win there. You get that, you can help healthcare, you can help the pocketbooks of Canadians, and you can make housing more affordable. Just as one thing, put a moratorium on immigration. So sorry if I went too long on that, but that's how I feel. And I think if you fix that, it would help to fix our system and take pressure off of it. And then at a local level, we need to fix the processes. They used to operate much better according to that doctor. So that's all I can kind of say from a federal point of view. The best thing that we could do is immigration. It's a federal issue, and that could help the provinces run their healthcare better. So that's my 2 cents.
Ellen, I'm curious, this incident with your son 16 years ago. I'm old, so I remember a lot of things.
I'm older than you. I'm going to be 65 in a week.
Oh, well, don't worry. I'll catch up to you. I'm on my way. But I remember it wasn't that long ago, really. It was only maybe 20 years ago when we had places like near me, the Southwest Regional Center, or other institutions where people with mental health issues would be cared for in a hospital type of setting. And there were a lot of horror stories that came out of a lot of those facilities, but there was also supports in place, and they improved very much over time. But then this whole push, this political push and social push came to integrate, to shut those facilities down and push those people out into the community and integrate them into our communities. And
I remember it well.
And as a result, people were out, you see it even today, people with mental health issues just out in the streets, right? Not really receiving support for medications. If they need counseling, sometimes they don't get it because they don't know where to go, or they just don't have the ability to function at a level high enough to advocate for themselves or get the assistance or the supports that they need. And so they wander the streets, they fall through the cracks, they get off their meds, they cause problems, especially in the core areas of cities. They have breakdowns, they end up stealing, shoplifting, getting involved in drugs. I think that's part of what is driving the tent cities that we're seeing in communities. And police have been forced to deal with this, and they then become social workers essentially on the streets instead of just preserving public peace and enforcing laws and dealing with regular kind of policing calls. They have to deal with these social issues. And I think I've seen the problems from all of this ramp up over the years. Was your son one of those people that maybe would have been cared for in one of these mental health institutions that have been shut down over the past 20 or so years?
No.
No?
No. He had high functioning autism.
Okay.
And he wasn't violent. I mean, he's still not violent. I don't know. He had a psychotic break, and
yeah, because your son being autistic, I have grandchildren. One of them is, two are autistic, but high functioning. And so it's more important that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's more important, I would think, that your son was learning ways to manage, his whatever, problems he might have been having learning or socializing, like knowing what his limits were, knowing how to calm himself, knowing there's certain things that I see with my grandkids that they have to learn to self-manage, to be aware of and know how to manage those behaviors. Is that what your son was doing too? Because I know one of my grandsons, when he gets upset, he's not just upset. It's like things are going to be thrown, there's yelling, and he's had to learn to recognize that over the years so that he calms himself before he hits that level.
Well, my son always rocked. He rocks, and
Yeah.
that calms him. And
Yeah, so
he's never had any violent outbursts at all.
Right. Okay.
Well, you know,
Yeah, I
out
know
in,
what
Al-
you're
out in,
talking
Al-
about.
out in Alberta, you know, we've seen the government there take steps, and I don't remember the piece of legislation, but they are kind of reintroducing this older approach to mental health treatments and supports because they're you know that it was only about 8 months ago, I think, when Danielle Smith and AHS in Alberta rolled out this plan to kind of bring back the older approach, and through legislation, you know, they can really take the rights of someone with mental health away and then put them into one of these institutions. It's saying that they might be a danger to themselves and maybe even others. Do you have any thoughts on that, Michael? Are you familiar with what I'm talking about, or no?
Oh, I'm getting the context of what you're saying. And from a right standpoint, you're identifying a potential problem that could occur, right? Unjustified, just like,
Difficult situation, a difficult issue, yes.
yeah, for sure, because you know, on the one hand, you really the greatest minority to protect is the individual, right? And at that point, the government is overreaching, right? And then now you're kind of getting more into Jean-Jacques Rousseau's social contract, like more that, well, okay, society, sometimes you have to make an agreement to live by a set of rules. And maybe it's okay to do that. I don't know. I would just want to make sure that the language is in no way, shape, or form like C9 or other bills that have been released lately that are so vague and delegate powers to committees versus debate in parliament. So that would be one safeguard to protect. Is it bulletproof? I don't know, man. Look what happened to our charter during the trucker convoy. But you identified something that's really, you know, that you would have to have that law be very, very specific that a judge could actually quantify the situation, or you'd have to some arbitrary, because the way the government's working lately is they're saying, oh yeah, in this bill we, you know, we don't want, you know, a non-Canadian content, and this committee decides the rules, or like C21 with the gun ban, right? They're not debating anymore. They've just delegated it to a committee. So if that happens, that's the big danger that I think you're identifying, Rick, is if we have those types of vague laws.
Okay. Well, we're getting close to the top of the hour, so I think what we'll do is kind of go around the horn here and just get everybody to give us some final thoughts for tonight. And we'll leave Dragon for last so that he can maybe give us a Donald Trump. Ellen, maybe you give us your final thoughts tonight?
I think I've said, I can't think of any final thoughts right now, but I just want to thank you, Rick, for the, you know, I watch you every night. I have for years now, and I don't talk in the chat much. I'm very quiet when it comes to that, but I really appreciate your show.
Thank you.
You know, thank you.
I'm humbled by that. Thank you very much. Thank you. And
okay,
Trish, what
Yeah.
the final?
I just like to say, I recognize both Ian and Michael, and I've been following you, Rick, for years now since the convoy. You have a great show. I like that you bring people in from all different sides, which is a good discussion. Yeah, I'm heartbroken over what happened on our West Coast, and I think a lot of Canadians are not looking at this politically. I think they're just sad and thinking of the family. and the friends of the family. So thank you for having this discussion.
And Michael.
Thanks, Rick. It's always a pleasure to be on the show and to talk with you and stuff after shows. And thanks so much for always bringing attention to important topics. And I guess in closing, again, the way I began, she's right. This really is, like, I can't imagine you seeing what I've seen of some of the people I've met. And it's not like, it's such a hurting thing and something that traumatizes you. And my thoughts and prayers, and I just hope that they find the comfort and support that they need in the trying time. I mean, and I hope that we pray for them as well for that. And that's basically it, Rick. That's the most important thing. Number one, Trish identified it, and I'm in agreement with it. So thanks again for having me on.
Thank you, Michael. I really appreciate you calling in and sharing your thoughts with us tonight. And Ian, I was going to have you do your best French Donald Trump, but I don't know if it's really appropriate for you to do that tonight. So maybe we just kind of keep it on the serious side and just share your final thoughts tonight about what has happened out in British Columbia.
Well, my thought goes to the family first and people surrounding the family. So all my thought to the victims, first of all. Second of all, Michael, you're a wonderful person and a beautiful person. I want you to know that. As more as I know you on the show or on the program, I'm learning about you as a good person. So good for you, my sir. Totally, I have a lot of respect for you. And I'll leave you with a quote from Carl Jung. And it goes like this: I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become.
Well, all I can say is I think we're all thinking about the families, the victims out in BC tonight. And I am getting old, and I do remember other incidents like this. This isn't the largest mass shooting in Canadian history, but it is the largest mass school shooting that we have gone through. And like previous incidents like this in Canada, it has left a deep wound right now, and it will leave permanent scars, a very large permanent scar on the community out there in BC and really on the entire country. Canada has changed as a result of this, and hopefully we do learn from it and move forward and find solutions to these problems to help prevent this from happening again. We'll be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thoughts and prayers. I know some people say you shouldn't be saying that. It's not worth anything, but I think it is. It has to be said. Thoughts and prayers. Stay strong. See you tomorrow on the flip side.
Well, I heard old Cosmo howling last night up on the hill where the moon shines so bright. He was singing a tune, lonesome dogs cry about freedom, running and touching the sky. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmo's if you're feeling lost, just think of Cosmos Run. Remember his spirit, his freedom, his fun. And maybe one day, when you're feeling alone, you'll find your own freedom and let your spirit go. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmos free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard of a bird, a heart full of love and a spirit so free. He's living his life wild and carefree. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard a bird. Cosmos on a journey, he's got no chains. He's running through fields, breaking all the lanes.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.